Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Meet the Artist. The GHAA artists are here and willing to share their stories with you. This is a very cool thing. We get to meet them and see their likes and their dislikes. And today you will be so excited because Miss Chloe Reynolds is here with her artwork and she's a little bit on the younger side. So we like to see what the younger crew is doing. Okay, so without further ado, let's bring Miss Chloe Reynolds on. Okay, so she's joining with us now, and here she is. Thank you
Hi,
and welcome, Chloe. Okay, and we
thank
are
you.
ready to go, and we're so excited to have you here. And in the introduction, I was saying that you're a little bit younger than you're one of our younger members, which is always very exciting to me because you guys do so many new things and kind of cool things and all that good stuff. So I'm very
Cool, yeah.
excited to meet you and see what you got for us. Yeah. See what you got
Thank
for us
you.
is very exciting. So the first question is always, how did you start? How did you get interested?
Yeah, so I think I've pretty much always been interested, if that makes any sense.
It makes
Just
total sense.
because you teach kids how to draw when they're like, 3, 4, whatever, you start doodling with them, and like I've always just liked that. That was probably preferred. Like I wasn't exactly a super high energy kid or anything, so you could find me drawing a lot. And it just never really stopped. So I didn't even think about making it like a career or anything though until late high school because like I still barely even knew what college was. And then all of a sudden senior year they have you like, all right, make your decision. What are you
Make your
doing? And I was like,
decision.
oh,
You're an
great.
adult now. Yesterday you were a kid. Today you're an
Yeah,
adult. What do you want to do with your life?
exactly.
Totally love
Exactly.
it.
So I tried to think of something that has been a constant that I wouldn't get bored of or sick of. And I was like, I have always liked art. I've always been pretty decent at it. So I'm gonna go with
Nice.
this. So
Very
yeah, and
nice.
then I went to art school and did all of that, and here I am.
Where'd you go to art school?
Mass art, Mass
Mass
College of
art.
Art and Design
Very
in
cool. Very
Boston.
cool.
Yeah.
So did you have someone that you consider a mentor?
Not really, actually. I've met a lot of great people like since going to art school.
Hmm.
Lots of professors that I loved and everything, and made some great connections. But I haven't had exactly one
One
specific mentor.
particular.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your favorite medium? I know we were looking at just a couple right before you came
Mhm.
on. What's your favorite medium?
Yes. So I would say digital artwork. I use the program Procreate for iOS, iPad. Um, Next to that, though, I do like watercolor painting and I love colored pencil drawing a lot.
You know what? I started out doing colored pencils, and nowadays I don't think we see too much of it. So I think it's kind of
Mm.
cool that's what you
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
I think I use it a lot in conjunction with other mediums, though. So, like,
Hmm.
I'll do maybe a gouache painting and then detail in with colored pencil.
Really
But I've definitely done a lot of full works before with colored pencil. It's just
nice.
it's a time-consuming medium. Um, you wear down the pencils really fast if you're working on anything bigger than like this. So it's
What kind of
yeah.
pencils? Do you have a favorite kind?
Um, I guess I kind of just go with the Prismacolors nowadays.
Yeah, I would be
I think
surprised if you said anything else. We have been
yeah.
using Prismacolors. I was teaching at Chelmsford High School, and we were doing drawing, and that's exactly what we use, Prismacolor pencils. Uh,
Yeah, I think when I started using them a lot, I had been gifted a box of like the watercolor pencils.
nice.
Um, but I also didn't even know that they were watercolor pencils until like after I had them for years anyway.
I
So I
love
never really took advantage of that. But
it.
I like
Yeah, watercolor pencils are lots of fun, actually. And you can
hmm
mix those too. Actually, I use my Prismacolor pencils like watercolor pencils. I
Yeah.
actually use turpenoid on them to blend them because
Oh, okay.
they're very art artist quality pencils have just a teensy bit of like oils in them to make them really blendable. So I decided one day I was going to put some turpenoid, which is odorless turpentine, in them. And they actually looked very watercolory. You could make them look as vivid or as soft as you wanted to. So they have
That's
a
cool.
lot. It was extremely cool. They have a lot of applications, and mixing them with ink and whatnot was very cool. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. So I know you belong to the GHAA. Do you have other associations that you belong to?
Uh, no, I guess not. Now that I'm done with school, it's pretty much just me and this. And
Well, you're in the most important one, so that counts. You're in the
the
best one. You know, I'd
best
say
one,
that.
or the
That's
best
the
one.
best one for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do most of your ideas come from? What inspires you, my dear?
So I like to, I find that things that make me happy inspire me. I know a lot of artists will do, like they'll paint out their emotions. They'll find inspiration from like negative experiences, maybe. But I've never been really good at like channeling um, the more hard to grasp emotions. I just like to do kind of what makes me happy or what makes other people happy, just kind of positive imagery. Um, Colorful scenes. So I take a lot of inspiration, I guess, from like beautiful surroundings. So maybe like a nice sunset, nature, animals, lots of animals. And yeah, also some of like my favorite things as a kid. So like some of my favorite video games and music I still like a lot, will still inspire me today.
Very cool. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 22.
Oh, my God love you. You look like you're 12. 12
I've
going on
heard
22.
that so many times
So
in the
many times.
past year.
You know what? It might be a pain in the butt right now, but when you're like 50 and people think you're 35, you will love that. You will absolutely love it.
It's so odd because I never got that until like this past year. So I'm like,
Really?
what happened? Was it the haircut? I don't
What
know.
is it? Yeah, you did
Maybe.
something different. As you said, well, you're
Yeah.
very beautiful. You look like you could be a model. So whatever you're
Thanks.
doing, keep it up. Keep it up.
Yep. Sure.
So, so what's the best, most fun thing for you when you're creating your art?
So I love to just kind of hunker down, get myself really comfy. If I'm drawing on my iPad, that makes it a lot easier because there's no cleanup. And I like to put on like a playlist of like peaceful music and just like kind of get in like that nice headspace. That's probably my favorite
Get
part.
in the zone. We used to
In the
call it
zone.
getting in the zone.
Get in the zone.
Get in the
Auto zone.
well, yeah, if you like to drive, the getting in the zone. Totally. Okay. So, do you have some fun stuff you'd like to show us?
Yeah, yep, I can share some images from
Yeah,
my
we did like
website.
really. Oh, wait, I don't want to do that.
I
You
did
do
it.
it. Okay. Perfect.
Cool.
You know what? It
Oh, it's
is
fine.
fun. It has such a nice feeling to it.
Yeah, so I like to think that if you scroll a little bit, like it all kind of looks nice together. Trying to kind of come up with consistent palettes and atmospheres and things that work nice together when you look at my work as a whole. So that's kind of been what the past year and a half, 2 years has been kind of figuring out certain specialties and um, a more cohesive portfolio. So yeah, so
So
this first
tell me.
one,
Yeah, tell me about it.
yeah, this first one's one of my favorites. I've kind of become very interested in ducks, and I just love drawing ducks. I just think they're such a funny, like, they're such
They're
a
fun.
funny little animal that is so easy to draw. Anyone can draw a duck. There's so much you can do with them, and they're cute, they're funny, and so
Yeah.
this is just one of my favorite pieces that I did recently. And I can actually show you on my little screen too. This started off as just colored pencil in
Uh-huh.
a tunnel book. So like a more like a three-dimensional layered drawing. So I can actually show you that. Hold on one second.
All right, because I don't know what a tunnel book is. I'm very curious.
Yeah.
So this piece actually, and I just noticed it, these little duckies are in a heart shape, which actually adds to the mood of the piece. It's awesome.
Thank you. I'm
You're
actually
welcome.
not exactly sure where it is. But that's all right. I have a giant box next to me of books and stuff that I've made. And I thought it was in here. Maybe it is not.
That's all right. That's all right.
Oh wait,
I love this. I
it
love this.
is. It is here, along with some other tunnel books. Um, if you like, I can actually pause my share and show you on the small screen.
Uh-huh.
But this is how it started out.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, tonal books are basically, you take multiple pieces of paper, you make an accordion kind of fold on the sides,
Yeah.
you glue some tabs, and then you have something that has depth through it. You can look at it from the side.
So you made that.
Yes. Yep, there are a lot of nice bookmaking classes at MassArt.
Okay.
So I have
Is
a
that
few.
what it's called? Is that what it's called? Bookmaking?
Yeah, so I make like a lot of, well, I have made a good amount of like artist books, which is kind of a different like genre of book.
Yeah.
'Cause if you showed this to someone and said it's a book, they'd be like, yeah, sure, okay. I don't really
Yeah,
care
it's a
that's a
book, Chloe, whatever you say. I
but
love that.
it's a
Do you have
type of
more in there?
artist book. Yeah, so I
Let me
have
see.
this is another tunnel book. Wow, that red is very saturated on my screen.
It
But
looks orangey red here.
yeah, okay, that's good.
Is that good?
But yeah, this is one I did last fall. I wish I could kind of show you better detail, but when I do it close, it gets kind of dark.
Yeah.
But a little farmy hill kind of landscape with a little cat sitting in the window. Just something very peaceful that I liked. And this cat is kind of reminiscent of one of my childhood cats who passed away really early. So I kind of wanted to put him in a piece of work.
Oh,
Yeah, so I thought
okay.
that came out
So
nice.
this one is actually more than 3 folds. So you can make as
Yes.
many layers as you want.
Yeah, you can do anywhere from 2 to as many folds as you can fit in here. Make a tunnel book that
Oh,
way.
that is
So this
cool.
is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including the back. As long as the back one is pretty much like no cutouts or anything.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
as long as you make cutouts so that you can actually see through the whole thing, that's a tunnel book.
Okay. So how do you, is the cat separate and you glued him on there?
The cat is part of this first panel. He's just drawn on next to this window. And the only thing I cut around him was like his silhouette and the
Okay.
centerpiece between the window.
All right. So then the window, the panes in the window are a different level.
This is the same level as the cat. Yep.
Oh, it is.
Yep. If
Okay.
I don't know if it helps
Oh,
to look
yeah.
at
Now I
inside,
see
but
it.
yeah.
Now I see it. Oh,
Yep.
wow.
And then the trees, like the various levels of the tree colors are different levels.
Very
The
cool.
landscape, like there's one hill in the front, one hill in the back with a little farm fence. That's a level. And this swing, the little tree swing, is on the second one, and so are the flowers.
Is it
just
really
outside the
swinging?
window. I mean, you can kind of like touch it, but I don't know how well.
Oh,
It's just
I
paper,
love
so
that. I love that.
it's
So
not really going to swing on its own, but you know.
how long does it take to make one of those?
It depends how detailed you want it to be.
Uh-huh.
So you can make these just out of like colored paper. Like if I didn't spend the whole time illustrating this, it would be a
Okay.
lot quicker. So basically, as long as it takes you to plan it out, what you want to be able to see through the layers of paper, cutting with like an X-Acto blade, and
Really?
then measuring and cutting like these accordion fold papers, and then
Oh,
just
those are separate on the
the
side.
yeah, gluing the tabs, you just make little cuts in this fold paper, and
Very
so that
cool.
you can glue the papers in the middle to it so it'll stay put. And that's basically the minimum that you'd have to do. So
That's
yeah,
totally
have to have
awesome.
time to do that. Yeah. But you can make these out of like all sorts of paper, illustrated or not,
Well, that
anything
was
like
going
that.
to be
I've
my
also
next
seen like
question. What kind of paper are you using?
So I think this is just for this one at least, and I think also for this one, it's just like a multimedia like
Okay,
sketchbook paper
sure.
that I've cut out. And then the ones for the folds though, you kind of do need a really good paper for that because if it's too flimsy, it's not really going to hold the structure very well. And if it's too stiff, then you can't like do that and store
Yeah.
it. Like I have a
Oh,
lot of
cool.
things, so I need to kind of store it flat with my other works.
Sure.
So that is what is that? I have it written down somewhere, but it's
That's
I
okay. That's okay. Maybe at some point you could do a little demo. That would be very interesting.
yeah,
That'd be
I can
cool.
say that I got it from Blick. Um and I believe it's like Canson something that I couldn't pronounce well.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, very cool. All right.
Yeah, it's pretty thick too. I know you can't feel it yourself, but it's a fairly thick kind of
Mhm.
colored paper too. They sell them in a lot of colors. So
I think that is so cool.
I also have another one here. This is a first tunnel book I made, waiting for the light to help. And there's a duck
It's
running away from a
it's a
bakery.
bakery.
Yeah. So this was fun. It was my
I love
introduction
it.
to tunnel books.
You,
Um,
you know, Thanksgiving is coming. You could replace him with a turkey.
oh my gosh, that's a great idea.
I
Turkey tunnel books will come.
love
And
it.
this
I
one
love
was
it.
fun because obviously I used paper like normal, but for this like bakery stand with the cakes on it, I put like a
Uh-huh.
layer of like the sheer like plastic wrap to kind
Oh,
of it gets hard to see in the camera, but if you look at it, it almost looks like a glass effect.
I love it.
Just a little bit of shine. So you can do things like that. I've seen people do like a whole sheer back too, so like that light can come through and things like that. Pairing tunnel books with lights is really interesting. I've never done it though, but you can probably find a lot of really cool things online if you look that up.
I love it. I love it. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very inventive.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I
Show
wasn't
us some,
even
show us some.
expecting to talk about these today, so
Well, yeah, you never
box
know what's
back
going to
and
happen, right? Everything amuses me. I love it.
you never know.
So show us some more work, my darling.
I will. All right, so I'll share my screen again.
This is exciting. I'm
Yeah, so
excited.
that's where this image came from. I decided I really wanted something that would just make a really good like promotional piece. So maybe something that could be printed on a postcard and that kind of thing.
Okay,
Um,
and do you
so
do
that's
that? Do you
I did
actually?
that last year, yeah.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
I have like it was all part like it was all thanks to my senior year at Mass Art. They do a lot of this stuff, kind of teach you how to market yourself, um, make
Perfect.
promotional works, everything like that. So we did a lot of pieces and we chose a couple for postcards and everything. I only have a couple left, and some of them,
I
well, I
love the
don't have one with that
colors.
image on it left, actually. I thought I did, but I do not. So that's what that was for,
That's
though.
okay.
And
Love the
so,
colors.
yeah, I had a lot of fun with those. I'm in a phase of liking like deep, cool greens and blues and like the cool colors like that.
Nice.
Um, so that was something I did. As well as this, I wanted to make something that would just make like a nice like background or a wallpaper or something like that.
Uh-huh. Oh,
So I made this capybara pattern. I've seen a lot of images online of like capybaras bathing with these like fruits. They look like oranges, but I guess they're called like yuzu fruits. And it's something that I guess people that like who work at zoos or other animal lines of work, for some reason they pair them together and people just think it's the cutest thing.
it
And
is
it's
cute.
something I guess to celebrate like the winter solstice. I don't really know how, but that's the kind of gist of it that I read. So I was like, there is not enough artwork of capybaras with yuzu, so I'm gonna make one.
So
um
now, are these digital? Are they hand
yes,
drawn? They're
this
digital.
one's completely digital. The other one was the one with the ducks was scanned.
Oh,
Each layer
okay.
of that tunnel book was scanned, and then
Yeah.
I compiled it digitally and kind of drew over it with like a colored pencil, like digital brush,
So
essentially. So it,
are you talking layers, like where you do different layers and merge them together, like raster
yes,
vector layers? Yeah.
yeah, well, not vector, but yeah, you can
Just
still compile
raster.
layers just of yeah,
Oh, very
yep. And
cool.
then
Very
kind of I
cool.
neatened it up a lot. Like if you looked
Yeah.
closely at the tunnel book, like it still looks nice. It doesn't look as clean and polished as this. And obviously I wouldn't be able to cut out each of these little leaves like that in a tunnel book. So that's something
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
digital could improve
Cool.
upon.
Cool.
Um, so yeah, so that was like half colored pencil, half digital. This is completely digital. Most of these works are completely digital,
Completely
actually.
digital. And you
Yes.
said you
So
used a program called Procreate?
Procreate. Yep.
Procreate.
It's my favorite. I don't use Adobe anymore because it's like so much money and it's a subscription service and I hate subscription services so much, even
Tell
though
me
pretty
about
much
it.
everything is that nowadays. But
Yeah, yeah.
Procreate's great. You pay like maybe $20 for it and you have it. You don't have to pay anything else.
Really?
Um, yeah, that's why. So, I mean, you do have to buy an iPad, so that's kind of a lot of money. But
Oh, oh,
if you're
okay. So
gonna,
only
yeah,
iPad, not like a well, iPad is Apple, correct?
yes, yep, yeah, I'm sure it works on phones and stuff too if people
Okay.
are comfortable use. I just can't really draw on such a small
I
screen.
was gonna say, yeah, phone, maybe the screen would be too small. So
Yeah, I do
this,
know some people can just use their finger and draw really well, and I'm like, I
yeah,
don't know how you do that.
yeah,
It's
yeah, I
insane.
don't know. I wouldn't be able to do
Um,
that either.
but yeah, I'll show you a few more things. So this is the most recent thing on my website. It is a drawing of my childhood cat Midge, um, kind of like how I did a piece with my other childhood cat, not childhood hat. That's not a word. Um,
Now you sound
that
like me.
one's
You're in deep yoga, Chloe.
I trip over my words all the time. It's really bad. But this is Midge. When I was born, he was already kind of an old man cat. So he passed away when I was in the second grade. Um, but I have fond memories of him, pretty much just like this. He just kind of liked to sit there and just look like a
Chill.
happy cat. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he's just sitting there and chilling out a little bit.
Yeah. So the story behind this one was that for my thesis, which I'll talk about later in more depth, um, I was focusing on like human animal bonds because that's something I draw. That's something that I like to
Wonderful.
read
Yeah.
about. So I was looking through old photos of my childhood and my pets and things like that. When I found like an old photo of Midge just like this, but it was really faded. So like the color, it was maybe faded by the sun, or maybe the picture just didn't come out too well when it was taken. Um, so I wanted to kind of bring it like back to life, and make it more clear, just because it was such a cute picture, but it was so like so faded, like I said. So I wanted to kind of
Yeah. You
make it real
revived it. You made it come alive.
colorful. Yeah. So that
Well,
was how that one came about. I like the idea of doing that with more pictures, so I'll probably
nice.
do that in the future. Um, I work a lot with pictures, with references, direct references. I'm not really great at drawing without a reference, so I love
Yeah.
finding
Who
things like
is?
that.
Who is? Yeah.
Finding a lot of like really cute images online and like saving them to a folder.
Mm.
Things that I'm like, maybe I'll draw this later, that kind of thing. So I do a lot of that. Um, this one is my dog, and every single name that I find myself calling her, because I never call her her actual name anymore. Like, I don't know if you have pets.
Understand that. Oh, yeah, I totally understand that one.
Yeah, so I definitely want to do this with my rabbit, who I just closed her in her pen because she was being a menace. Um, there's so many nicknames,
I love
and
it.
I thought it was a good thing to show
Pubby.
like
Pubby
hand lettering
Bubba.
too.
Say
Puppy,
what?
dog, um,
Yeah.
yeah, like hand lettering in conjunction with illustration.
I was just going to ask you about the
Definitely to
calligraphy
show.
part of it, the lettering.
Yeah, yeah, I've loved hand lettering for a long time. I've never really had like a formal like class on it. Like I know some people take like calligraphy classes. Um,
I did, yes.
did you do that?
I did. I italic style calligraphy, not this.
That's
And
cool. Yeah.
yeah, and I took it at UMass Lowell.
Okay.
And, I was already teaching at that time. And, the teacher was like, oh, you're such an inspiration to the class, blah, blah, blah. So I figured easy, easy. I get an A plus in this class. And she
Nice.
gave me like an A minus. And I was like, I said to her, look, I'm permanently scarred, emotionally scarred now. I said, why'd you do that? And she's like, well, she says, your calligraphy is nice, but it's a little bit too modern. So that was many years ago. And it's still, like I said, I'm emotionally scarred now. That's it. But
Wow.
calligraphy,
Okay.
calligraphy is absolutely what it's. I think it's important. It's kind of a lost art because of all
Yeah.
the fonts, computer fonts, and this and that. So when
Yes,
someone can
exactly.
do what you're doing, it actually is very impressive. I like it.
Thank you. Yeah, so
Hilgo,
I
Dogbert.
wish I wish I could do more of like a hand traditional calligraphy, which I really have no idea how to do that. But I like lettering. It might be a
Yes,
little bit like a
yes, yeah.
modern
This is
thing.
nice.
But I always liked it as a kid, but I never thought about that being like a thing I could do. Um,
And did you do that with your name, Chloe Reynolds?
yes, I did.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
I think
Cool.
we had a guest speaker come in, alumni from Mass Art to when I was in my sophomore year. And her name is Krista Perry. She does a lot of really cool hand lettering and fun illustrations. But I saw that she was doing all sorts of things for cards, like birthday cards, other kinds of cards. And I was like, you can make a career off of hand lettering. Like nobody ever told me that. Like I could have been practicing this whole time. So
Yeah, well, given
so
your age, I would say you still have time, honey.
yeah, for sure.
For sure.
But yeah, so just a couple of little things that have kind of just hand lettering
I
in
have
them.
to ask you, or I want to see this too, but I have to ask you
Yeah.
about the blue and the purple with the bears and the quarter moon. Every time you go by that, my eye just becomes
Yeah.
transfixed there. Yes,
Okay. Yeah,
totally.
so this was a piece for I did it in 2020, early 2020, just before pandemic. I started it. And this was to just kind of capture spring, like the season of spring. And the story behind that is in my junior illustration class at Mass Art, they do a partnership with the Handel and Haydn Society, the orchestra in Boston.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, and they have students illustrate the piece that they're performing for the season. So what they
Nice.
were performing was Vivaldi's Four Seasons. And so you could choose either, the whole piece, the idea of all four seasons, or you could just choose a
Choose
season.
one.
There were also, while there's no like lyrics sung to that piece, there's like a
Hmm.
poem that goes alongside of it. Um, and so you could take inspiration from the lyrics and things like that. So I chose spring, and there was some, I don't have the poem with me or anything, but something said along the lines of like dancing under a canopy of spring, like the trees,
Oh,
the flowers, all that kind of things.
that you
So
captured it absolutely beautiful. Every time you went by, I was like, wait, stop, I want to look at that.
thank
And it just is, it gives me a magical, free feeling, just very joyful. I totally
you.
love it.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, this was one
Ah,
of my first.
beautiful.
I scanned a watercolor purple background, which
Uh-huh.
is just the sky. And then just because I wanted some sort of texture back there. And then I kind of learned how to integrate, scanning in textures, just textures, and then
Mm,
not traditionally, working digitally over it. So I had a
nice,
lot of fun with that. It took a
nice.
while. And then
I
I was
bet.
super bummed because we were supposed to all be invited to the performance of Vivaldi's Four
Ah,
Seasons. We'd all get a free ticket and be able to bring one guest, and we would get to see our work there, all the students, and then that got canceled. So that was fun.
sure.
That
Ah,
was a low blow, but I at
yeah, that
least
was
I got this
awful.
out of it. It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece, honey. It's very beautiful.
Thank you. I know it's hard when I click on them. They go like full size and you have to scroll to look at all of it. So I got to work on that. Um, but yeah, so I'm glad you like that one. That
I
was one of
do.
my
I
earlier
absolutely love
ones.
it.
And so, yeah, I guess I'll talk about some of these images are part of my like senior thesis at MassArt on the human animal bonds. So I made like a separate tab for that on my website. Um, so I put like a little vague summary of like why I chose the human animal bonds and how I think that if you have kids, like it is a good idea to let them grow up with animals and pets and to kind of learn how to respect other
Life
species and
forms.
forms of
Sure.
life. Obviously not unattended or anything because kids aren't always the best with animals, but it's
Yeah.
good to teach them.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. But
so that
absolutely
was
attended.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was the gist of it. And so I made four pieces. I think we were supposed to make five. I only made four. Um, just celebrating the different kinds of animals that I think would be good for a kid and what they can teach somebody. I say kid, but it can also apply to adults.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
but I think,
adults could learn a
yeah,
lot, actually,
exactly. I
from
think just
animals.
with my style of illustration, it's like, oh, it looks like children's literature. So, and I like children's imagery, like fun, colorful things like that. So it all kind of
Huh?
came together to be aimed at maybe more of parents looking to parents who are on the fence about getting a pet or something like that. Um, so the first image I made was describing the actually like health effects of owning a fish. So there's a lot of research put into why having a fish tank can alleviate symptoms of stress, and like the dopamine in your brain will increase just by having something calming to look at. So I made this with the memories of being kind of young, and just I've always been really bad at sleeping if I don't have something to look at or something to listen to. And I remember a few times my mom would just be like, "Why don't like you just come downstairs and like, lay on the couch?" And we had like a big fish tank, right? It wasn't huge, but we had a fish tank right by the couch, and that kind of just like calmed me down because I was getting all stressed out. Like I can't sleep. Like I don't, for some reason that always stresses me out when I can't sleep. So
Sure.
yeah, so just like kind of just laying and looking at the fish and letting myself relax. Like it helped a lot. And I would just kind of sleep on the couch right there. So this would be like the ideal situation, just having like a giant fish tank right by your bed.
That's actually an
Boredom.
awesome idea.
Yeah.
I know in a lot of doctors' offices, and my chiropractor used to have this big, huge one, and I would sit there and stare at it and be transfixed. I'd say, "Oh, this
Yeah.
is fish tank technique." I'd say, "This is how you relax your patients." It'd be, "Yeah, that's good,
Yeah.
fish tank." As I'm looking at this picture, I'm looking at the perspective of it. How hard was it for you to get perspective down pat? My students
Mm.
really have a problem with it. What
Yeah.
helped
So
you?
what I did, so there was a class that really helped at Mass Art that was just technical illustration. And it was just a lot of learning to draw from perspective. But I also, like I mentioned earlier, I really, I really need to have like reference pictures a lot. So what I did was like I set up my phone like on the other side of my room. It was a different room than this, because this one has the slanted walls as you can see. So that wouldn't have worked. But I had it set up at the other side. I dressed myself in like pigtails and I looked up at my wall and I took pictures basically of this angle.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think I ended up having my friend, my roommate, come in and like take better
Take a picture.
perspective that I wanted, a little
I
bit
love it.
higher up, a little bit lower down. So just setting up like your own reference helps a lot. So
Perfect.
yeah, I
That's
was just staring up at a big blank wall, but it helped me get like the angle of the bed and the angle of like the top of the fish tank really good. Um, so yeah, that's what I did. And then I kind of just I used a different reference picture for like every single fish and just had
did
to make
you?
it, like work in the space. And then I just kind of freestyled the plants or whatever this
Sure,
is.
sure.
And yeah, and then I just everything else I just kind of plopped in there in my mind.
That's
And
that's perfect. So you
yeah.
did a reference photo for you and then
Hmm.
a different one for the fish because the fish.
Yeah, so
Oh,
one reference for me and the space, the whole setup of the room.
mm-hmm.
And then I just looked at pictures of fish, a lot of pictures of fish.
Cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. I'm impressed.
Hmm. And then
Nice.
just having a understanding of lighting um,
Yeah,
really just helped
totally.
because I didn't necessarily have to reference that. But like if you have a good understanding of lighting, you just kind of make it apply anywhere. Then that's pretty much what I did. Um,
So you
and oh, we'll go back to
that's
what you
okay.
said.
I was going to ask about the lighting. You assumed a
Yeah.
certain light source. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, this will be the only light source in the picture. Everything will be based off of this. So anything facing the direction of the fish tank will have a little highlight or whatever.
Yep.
That's
Perfect.
basically how I
Perfect.
think of it.
Uh, it works great.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And same kind of thing with this picture. I'm like, yep, we'll have a window in the back and there'll be a little highlight on everything facing that. But this one was about getting a cat, and growing up with a cat, you kind of learn boundaries because cats don't necessarily, let you do whatever to them. But learning kind of that sweet spot of like letting a kid have fun with their cat without actually bothering the cat too much. So that's kind of what I did when I was little. This is actually that cat Midge that I showed you a different
Yeah.
drawing of earlier.
Yeah. That's what I was
Something I would
wondering.
literally do for fun. I would literally just like put all my stuffed animals with him for fun, and he would just sit there and be like, "Why are you doing this?" But it didn't really bother
They're
him. You know
very
what I mean? So
strange humans.
it was a way that I could have fun with him that didn't upset him. I think he was just kind of confused and like, all right.
And how old were you when you did this? How did you know enough not to upset him?
I was maybe like maybe first grade or
So
kindergarten or
you
something.
were young. You were young.
Yeah,
And
so like I think it's kind of intuitive. Like if you learn what the signs are, if you're hurting somebody or an animal, um, you just look out for that. I'm sure there's also a certain level of, nature versus nurture. Like how well can a kid tell? How well of a sense of empathy does a kid have that they can tell if they're bothering or hurting
that's kind of what
someone
I was
else?
getting at, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
For
So
one
I think
so young,
I'm
you were
hoping
able
that
to discern that.
yeah, if you get some pets for your kids, I'm hoping that you'll kind of, teach a certain amount of that to a kid. Like, hey, not everyone likes the same kind of things. Not every animal will let you treat it the same exact way. But
Totally.
you can learn like from a cat, from an old cat, what not to do, what they allow you to do, what you can have fun with them. So I would just kind of do stuff like this all the time when I was a kid. And like I think there's like a picture of me just like laying on the ground with and all the stuffed animals, like half of them looked like Midge too. So it was kind of funny.
I was just gonna say they all look
Bought the
like your
Midge.
cat. All the cats are black and white. Yeah,
Yeah, so I
love
had
it.
to also pretty much recreate this scene in my bedroom here. Obviously I don't have Midge anymore, but I kind of posed like a oh, kitten or cat or whatever. I mean, the reference pictures are funny when you look back. It's just like, why is this like if you didn't know that I was drawing this, you'd be like, why do you have this picture in your camera roll? Um, but yeah, so I took lots of different reference pictures. One of me,
Now
I
you know I have to ask this question. Do you
yeah,
have a tooth missing in that picture? Was that done on
yeah,
purpose?
yeah, I did that on purpose.
You had a tooth missing.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love it.
this isn't actually like a photo of like necessarily of childhood me or current me. It's just kind of like what I think I looked like in my head. But I think like if you draw a kid with a missing tooth, like people are like, "Oh, it's a cute little kid,"
It is, yeah, it was, yeah. Because I'm like, what is that? Let me take a closer look. That's awesome,
Yeah,
honey. Good for
yeah.
you.
It's kind of hard to draw like kids when you're basing the photo on yourself because they have such different proportions to adults. So, and also totally different teeth sizes. Like my teeth aren't that size anymore. I have adult teeth.
Sure.
So it's kind of hard just to kind of use your brain to be like, right, this is what it would look like in a kid's mouth. And, obviously, I'm sure it's not exact, but it did okay.
Well,
Um,
it got the point across. I knew
yeah.
exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I also had to bombard my current cats with stuffed animal cats just to get more reference pictures. Because I still have like maybe 75% of the stuffed cats that I drew
Do
here.
you
I
really?
have
Do you really?
yeah, I kept a lot, the ones that I really liked. I don't necessarily like have them all on my bed or anything, but they're kind of just like in a basket in my room.
Sure.
So I was like, all right, break out the cats. Here we go.
Bring on the
um,
kitties.
yeah,
I love it.
but that was fun. Same thing with the room setup was just from a reference picture and just using my brain just to really think about the perspective of the angle that you're viewing it at.
Hmm.
And then everything like all like the room furniture.
Yeah.
Well, the dresser on the side is also sort of what I have, so based on reference and same with that. But I had a lot of fun just like decorating a children's room in my head to make this.
Hmm.
Like I don't have all this furniture or anything, but it's kind of fun just to come up with like what would a girl have on her shelves. And I also made it a thing to hide little ducks in every image I did for my thesis. So I put a little
I
duck
love
on the
it.
shelf, a rubber ducky, some books. I made a little cat night light. I love that. I would totally get that if there was available anywhere, but I have to make it
Well,
up.
someone will have to make one now. You designed it.
Yeah. Little doll houses, boxes, a little cat alarm clock, things like that. Those little stars that you put on your wall and ceiling as a kid in like the 90s or whatever. Um, I got some more pictures, a little family photograph, a little fun golden box and a cat in a frame, and then I put
Some
some kid
drawings.
drawings on the wall, which I really like doing. Like I like drawing and then making like another drawing within the drawing. Especially like a kid's drawing or something. I just think that's really fun because it just lets you like loosen up and just like not worry about something looking perfect. Just like, yeah, I'm gonna pretend this is how a kid draws a cat. That's cool.
That's
Um,
amazing. That's
I
wonderful.
highly recommend.
It's
Good way to
amazing.
let off steam.
Love it.
And then my third image in the thesis was about like small pets and how they require very different handling than like a cat or a dog. But how you can learn to be very gentle with having a small animal and that kind of thing. So this is a little hamster. He was based on one of my great friends and my old roommates in college. She actually brought a hamster to our dorm. Um, she got it registered as an emotional support animal. That I know
Wow,
that
that's
doesn't seem like you
great.
can do that with a hamster, but like if you have an attachment with any animal, you can do that.
I
So that was kind of
totally didn't
why,
know that. That's great.
yeah. So that's kind
Huh,
of why I thought to include something like a hamster in the thesis too. Even though they live, for maybe a year or two, maybe three, it's a different kind of enrichment, and it can still teach you a lot
sure.
about valuing a smaller
Absolutely.
life. So that was the idea behind that. Um, Again, just more reference pictures, me posing like this, holding nothing in my hands. And for this one, like I have her just like posed on a bed, and I have like a little textbook in the corner, and like I hid a little duck in the corner of that textbook as an image. Um,
So
and with the
every
poster, yeah,
picture that you have has a little duck hidden in
it's a
it
duck.
somewhere.
Yeah, I didn't show it in the first one, but in her pictures on the wall above her bed, I drew
There's
some ducks.
ducks. You know something, this it's a riot because I have a a 46-year-old biker dude that takes
Yeah.
art classes, and he hides a skull in every single picture that he does.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. I think
I
that's so
think that's
fun.
great, and people actually go looking for them. Okay, where is it? Where
Mhm.
is it? So that's
Yeah,
perfect. That's great. I love it.
that's awesome. I love that he does that.
Yeah.
And my last one was about getting a dog. Um, the undying loyalty of your dog that always waits for you at the door. Um,
Sure.
and so I had this idea based on a friend of mine and his dog, because his dog passed away 2 years ago, and my
Oh
friend actually passed away last year.
my
So I had the
God.
idea of like putting them together.
Yeah.
Just
Perfect.
kind of like your dog's always waiting for you. Your dog's always happy to see you. Um,
Huh.
so I dedicated this one to him, and I this one was so hard to draw.
I
um,
bet. I bet.
but it was really nice to look at. Like I looked at some childhood pictures of him. I didn't meet him until high school, so like I never saw him and his dog as a puppy or anything. But it was really sweet to kind of to see some old pictures and like be reminded of that like fun childhood spirit and like little puppy. Rain. The dog's name is Rain. Little Rain is a puppy, super cute. Um, but yeah, I think this one I had a lot of trouble with like proportions. I think his arms too long for a kid. But that's the kind of risk you run with posing yourself. I had to take more reference of myself, of course. So like that's how long my arm was in the picture, but kids have different proportions, so it
Hmm.
could be changed a little bit. So if I had to go back to one of these pieces and like redo it or fix it, it would probably be this one. Um, but it certainly holds a lot of sentimental value, so
I
I
was
like
going
it
to
more.
say, and actually, the arm length and whatnot is not immediately you
Yeah,
noticeable. It's like you don't look at the picture and go, "Oh my God, that arm is too long."
that's what I do
So,
now.
yeah, you do because you're critical of your own work, certainly. But
Exactly.
it's a
Yeah.
very sentimental, beautiful piece.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. You're
Um,
welcome.
so that was the last one I did for my thesis. I also for this one I had some ducks as a little
I was
emotion edit.
looking for him. I said, "Okay, where's the duck?" And I saw it immediately. I love it.
Yeah, that was really fun. I had a lot of fun making like the house for this piece, like because I didn't even have like the doorway to base it off of or anything, so I just had to
Mhm.
try and do that myself. Um, yeah, I made a little potted plant, a little welcome mat. I really like drawing welcome mats. I know that's a weird thing, but I think it's fun. Um, I think
Welcome.
it's because I
What's your
like like
specialty, Chloe? Welcome months. I like it.
welcome mats,
I love it.
but
I
it's
love it.
fun. Like you get to like, I think I like texture a lot, so I think that's why.
Yeah,
Um,
this
just put a
piece,
little
because
square, put a little light source on it, put little
yeah,
fuzzies all
yeah,
over
it
it.
does have a lot of texture on it, and it shows some depth because you can see where it's sitting on the floor. And I
Yes.
totally love the idea that the door is undefined and it's actually just light. And the fact
Yeah.
that you said that this is a person who's passed away, it almost is like, you know, they say when people die, they go through a light or they pass through a
Hmm.
doorway of light. So it
Yeah.
actually is extremely cool. I mean, you know, given the history of the relationship and whatnot, it adds more meaning for me that the door is actually just lit up.
Yeah, that's a great
Beautiful.
way to put it.
Yeah.
I never put it into words like that, but I'm
Well,
like,
as you were
I just don't
talking,
want
I'm
to
like,
drive.
are those windows in the door all illuminated like he's coming from spirit? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it
beautiful.
was
Beautiful.
probably like a subconscious thing I did, but that makes a lot of
Yeah, I
sense.
wouldn't doubt it. Absolutely.
Oh, and I
Beautiful.
also put a little duck on his keychain on his
I
back.
love it. Very good. Very
I knew
good.
I was forgetting a duck.
You
So
are an
that was
opportunist. Where can I put this duck?
so that was my senior thesis. So this was finished almost a year ago in December. And
Wow.
there's also a lot of like spot illustrations. I can show you like a quick overview. I'm not gonna like read the book or anything. Um, Not necessarily the book layouts are my specialty, but I would like to get into that a little bit more.
Sure.
Um, so I wish I could view it side like 2 pages at a time, but I'm not really sure how to
That's
do that
okay.
from here. But yeah, just putting little spot illustrations. I put an introduction on like the whole idea behind it. I put big page spreads with the images and put next to it the benefits of having each animal and some misconceptions and fun facts. That was a lot of what I read. It was like people think you should do this and you shouldn't, and fish actually do this and blah blah blah. So that was a lot of it. And I included my concept sketches for each one, which was probably one of my favorite things to put in the book, just because I liked looking at like my process and like how it goes from sketch to finish. So like this was pretty much the one in the top left was pretty much the one I ended
Mhm.
up going with. Um, but
That's
it was hard
awesome.
because I liked all these other ones. I
Mhm.
mean, I guess the bottom right was kind of just another version of the top left. Um, and that was my so I made these all digitally, but I for this first one I sketched it out full size in pencil. So
Uh-huh.
it was like I wanted it to be 18 by 24 if it were to be printed out. So I sketched it at that scale just so I could make sure I liked how it looked and things like that.
Wow.
I
Wow.
didn't end up actually printing any of these, so
Mhm.
I guess it's still possible. But
It's still possible. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So that was the process for that, and same kind of thing with the cats one and everything else. Misconceptions. And here were some of my thumbnails. Like when I'm thumbnail sketching and I don't have a reference yet, I draw in like a completely different style than I do
Uh-huh.
when I do.
Oh,
So
yeah,
like this
yeah.
is how a lot of my sketches look. Like I like to make little cartoony people and animals. Um, but I'm kind of in that awkward spot of trying to decide what I like to do more and what I should do more. So there's a little bit of each of that in these, and this was my sketch. It was smaller. It wasn't at full scale, but I like to include it
And these are
because I
actual
perceive.
sketches that you're doing with pencil, yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I wanted to include it because I love
Nice.
to draw digitally, but I'm not always good at like thinking and putting it on the digital tablet. I still like to keep a sketchbook for ideas.
Nice.
Um, I don't know if anyone else feels that, but that's just a weird thing. Like, I don't know why I can't think of it the same way, but I need a pencil and a sketchbook to do
I
my
think it's
first thumbnails.
amazing.
Yeah,
Very
it's just a
nice.
thing. And then I make cleaner sketches digitally.
Mm-hmm.
The same kind of thing with this. And this one gave me a run for my money with the colors that I wanted. For some reason, I just could not
Yeah, how
decide on
did you
anything.
decide? How did you decide on colors?
So like I tried to think like logically, like as an art student for some of these, I'm like, oh, complementaries, let's put that in. And I was like, no, that looks stupid. What about things that are like next to each other on the color wheel? Like she has red hair and a pink sweater. Um, so maybe do like more pinks and purples and make it kind of a limited palette that way. I think that's kind of what I ended up going with, something more like this one in the
Mm-hmm.
second row, kind of like that. But also kind of like it's kind of like a reddish purple. I don't know. Um,
Nice.
was it? Is it purple? It is pretty
I
purple.
was,
Yeah.
as you were talking, I'm like, okay, what did she finally end up with?
I know it's funny.
Isn't
It's like
that
you could go
awful?
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I find like I was having some trouble with the colors. I think because I didn't really have much going on in the background. It was just kind of on the wall. But I think once I kind of put a little poster and a little book on the bed and make the space more alive, it kind of helped me decide on a color just because it
Good,
felt more like a
good.
real place. And so here were the dogs and the sketches for the dogs. I really liked my sketches for this one. I think they had a lot of like, I don't know,
I like all your sketches.
personality.
They have a lot of character. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this one with him making the kissy face because that's what my friend would do to my dog. Like
Hmm.
my dog loved him so much. And like he would, my dog likes to kiss people in the face and nobody likes that. But my friend would let her do that to him. So
Yep, totally.
it was fun.
I
But
love the
yeah,
feeling. You've really captured the feeling in all of these.
thank you.
Amazing.
I know
Amazing.
I really like my pencil sketches a lot looking at
Yes.
them. Um, but
So
yeah,
this,
then I learned another way to just kind of put out the colors, block it in very vaguely, and then I kind of just combined these layers and did it digitally from there. Um,
cool.
yeah. So
It
this
is
is on the
totally,
left is my sketchbook. On the right is a program called Heavy Paint, which is it really doesn't let you do very fine details or anything, but that's kind
yeah.
of why it's cool. You can just block out the colors and very big, ugly brush strokes or whatever.
And what's it called again? I'm taking notes.
This is called Heavy Paint, and it's free, I believe. Um, I don't know if it's just for iOS or if it's also for Android or other
We
phone services
we
as well.
certainly will find that
We'll find
out.
out. And then at the end, I put
Oh my
resources for
gosh, that's
further
great.
research and some more like little spot illustrations, which I had fun with, and special thanks to my friends that inspired it, my classmates. I interviewed a woman named Dr. Gretchen Carlisle who works with children with autism and getting pets, specifically dogs. So she had a lot of research on like animals and things like that. And we had a really good conversation,
I bet.
which I wanted to include in my thesis, but like, oh my God, we talked for so long. I couldn't even finish like transcribing it out in for the rest of the class, like the rest of the semester. So it didn't
Wow.
get in, but she was a really big help and it was really fun to talk to her.
You
So
really
I know
did a lot of work on this.
I just talked about my thesis for like so long, but I swear I do other things.
You're amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it would be fun to do another series like that someday. And
Yeah,
obviously I don't have to make a
definitely.
book for everything I do, but like um
You should definitely get into books.
yeah, yeah, I can make handmade books. And then printing a book's like a whole different thing. It's funny. Um, but yeah, so along with like the thesis and everything that I made, I like to make patterns a lot. And I want to start incorporating these like into bigger illustrations too and kind of like combine both worlds. But the capybara piece I showed you earlier, I
Yep.
made with the intention of being repeated as a pattern as well, which was really hard to figure out because it's a lot easier to make patterns that are square in shape
Uh-huh.
and you can
Yep.
just repeat them from there.
Yep.
But doing like a big vertical piece was really interesting. It was really fun though.
I bet.
It gave me a bit of a hard time, but it was really fun.
It was a
I
good
was really
hard
happy with
time. I had a good time.
it. That's me with like everything. I'm like, oh, this is so hard. This is so stressful. I love how it came out.
Yeah. And
um,
that's, you know what, knowing, doing the work, and I think that's where the dopamine actually comes in because you're
yeah,
looking forward to the results and you don't
and
mind doing
seeing
the
it come
work.
together is really fun.
Amazing.
Um,
Amazing.
Yeah, so I really like this one. I made the little bumblebees, very spring pattern, the start of the spring. And I actually made that if you look in my little window. This is like my business card.
Ah,
And I made like that, like the cover of it,
I
like
love
a
it.
close-up of the pattern. So I think patterns can be fun for printing and um like
Absolutely.
marketing yourself in ways like that too.
Absolutely.
Um And so when because I draw digitally,
Yeah.
something great about Procreate is that you can make little animated GIFs with your drawings. And so I'm kind of starting a little collection of those, and it's really fun. I only have a couple that are like full illustrations like this. If it wants to pop up, there it is.
That's
Like this is
lovely.
my
Amazing.
thank you. This is my back room in my house. My favorite place to kind of sit because we have like the big windows and I love looking outside in the natural light, even if I'm just playing a video game inside. I just like being surrounded by it. Um, so I thought it'd be fun to just kind of play with like animating some snowfall or something very simple in a
Mm-hmm.
full illustration and like the
Mm-hmm.
cat's tail flicking. So that's something I'll probably get more into too now that I'm out of school and have more time for like little
I
personal
can see
projects.
that. I can see
This
that.
animating takes a long time, but it's really fun.
It's kind of, oh, that's cute as anything.
This is actually one of my oldest pieces on my website. This was from my sophomore year of college, which was like 2 to 3 years ago. But it was my first time animating something, and it was just really fun. I think my professor gave us a prompt, and it had to have the word like magic in the title. And so I did like the magician's assistants, like you've heard of a bunny in a hat before. What about a dog trying to fit itself in a hat and failing, you
That's
know,
great. He has his
putting on
bunny
some
ears
wings?
on, so he's
Um,
trying.
so that was fun.
That's
I thought I
great.
would include it because
That's
even
fun.
though it's not like the style that I draw on anymore, I just like
Yeah, but
it's I
it's
like
kind
it.
of how you got there. I think
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
great.
Yeah. I did a little inchworm last summer. That was hard, but it was fun. Um, this was my Animal Crossing character when I started playing. Is a game that came out like at the beginning of the pandemic, and everyone was obsessed with it because everyone was home playing video
Yeah,
games if they were
yeah.
around my age. So I did that. And then I was like, I'll just do like he's another cat, so I like drawing cats. And I did just like some elements. I'm like, oh, if I draw some rain, some fire, and like things like that. And I want to do more with like plants swaying in the breeze or something like that. Oh, this is the first one I did on my iPad. Is one of those guys that you see at like a car dealership, like the
Yeah, I
wacky
don't know what they're called, tube
tube
guys or
vans.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're weird,
that
but
was really fun.
I was gonna say I knew exactly what it was.
Yeah, it's just a fun exercise just to like think about the movements that you're seeing and like how that would work and like just sitting here going like this and being like, how do I animate that? That was fun.
Cool.
And yeah, so I just kind of started making some basic little things that like I could use online. There's a website called Giphy that is just a home for people who make gifs. You can make gifs out of anything. Some people make them out of videos from movies and stuff. But there's a whole artist section of people that like create their own gifs. And I was
Okay.
like, I want my work to be on Giphy. So I spent last summer just making a bunch of gifs, and then I submitted them to my profile, and then they take a while, but you can become like a Giphy artist. And I feel like that's a fun thing to do in your free time
Sure.
if you're someone who's interested in that because it's free. And then if you use Instagram, they partner with Giphy so that when you post your Instagram stories and you want to put a GIF in it, you can search like whoever's name, like the artist's name, and use their GIFs on Instagram. So that's why I wanted to do that because I am
Yeah.
always on Instagram and I saw that you could do that. And I was like, I want to put my stuff, I want to have my GIFs available to everyone on Instagram. So if you go and you search like Chloe Ray, Chloe Rey, you can like use like most of these GIFs, which is cool. So I thought
Cool.
that was like
Very
another
cool.
personal thing. But yeah, so that's kind of an overwork of the things I've done recently. I also want to say this was from one of my classes at Mass Art that was super helpful, was called Professional Freelance. And I don't know if other colleges or other classes do something like this where they kind of partnered you with companies that were looking for, you know, new artists and people
Yeah.
to illustrate for something that they were doing. Um, so our class did a project for North Shore Magazine in which we were to illustrate their article on Salisbury Beach and Plum Island and things to do that summer. Um,
Those are
so
really close to me.
yeah, me too.
Ah,
um, so
I'm
it
looking for
was.
the duck. Oh, there he is. There he is.
I actually didn't put a duck in this one, but I
That
put
one
some
looks
like
like a
those.
duck. Oh, is that
There's
a,
like
oh, it's a
they're like the
seagull.
little piper birds, the little
Yeah.
wood piper. No, it's called piper birds. But they go to the beaches and everything like that.
Well, you're gonna have to go
So
back and put
it's
a
fun.
duck in there, Chloe.
I gotta put a duck in there, yeah. So I had a lot of fun with this and kind of making my own landscape that was just kind of got the vibes of each place, but wasn't an exact copy. Like I didn't have to take reference pictures because I find that I kind of depend too much on taking reference pictures sometimes. So
Well, you get a
it
good
might kind of
result with
limit
them.
me. Yeah, I do. But if I wanted to make something big like this, I can't necessarily get a picture. You know what I mean? I can't get a picture from the perspective of the ocean.
I
So,
don't see why not. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No,
because I
that's
hate the
awesome.
ocean.
Oh, no, don't say
I
that out
like
loud.
I like the ocean. I don't like being on the ocean. I don't like being in boats. I get very
Oh,
seasick.
well,
Um,
I was going to say, plus the Atlantic is very cold. If you go
yeah,
to
it's freezing.
Hawaii and jump in the Pacific Ocean, you'll have it
That's very
made.
true. I
Yeah,
need to
you'll
do
love
that
it.
at some point because I haven't.
Absolutely, put it on the list.
But yeah, so that was a really helpful class to learn how to
Nice.
work with clients and what they might like and showing them your process and things like that. So that was a lot of fun to include. And yeah, most of this is just other stuff I did. Um, I just wanted to include this was like my senior self portrait that they have you. They compiled like a big poster of all of our self portraits for my graduating class. So I had to include the ducks in the background of this because that became like my
Of
thing.
course.
Yes, and so that was like most of the stuff that I do. That was all. It's all on my website. Um,
Yeah, that, you know what, I don't mean to sound condescending, but you are a very impressive young lady. I mean, just
oh,
talking to
thank
you and
you.
looking at this work, I'm sure you will do many, many, many great things.
Oh, thanks
Absolutely.
so much.
Beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful.
I know. It was really fun to talk to you and just kind of like
Same
info
here,
dump on
same
you.
here.
Like,
I'm
here's
like
everything I've
totally
been doing.
amazed. Do you tell people again how they can get a hold of you, give your website, your Instagram,
Hmm.
tell tell people all that good stuff.
Okay, so my name is Chloe Reynolds. So most of my social media is like Chloe Rey, Chloe Ray. So I'm mostly on Instagram. So that for me is chloeray.art, which I have a link to on my website if that helps.
Cool.
Well, it says oops, an error occurred, so that's great. I gotta check out what that means. I don't know if it's my website or Instagram. Also on Twitter at Chloe Rey art without the dot before it, like my
Without the
Instagram
dot.
is.
Okay. Cool.
Just kind of post. So I kind of post more like sketching things too,
Uh-huh.
and
Perfect.
sometimes I share other people's work. Like this is gorgeous. Tech
Nice.
at Techtober. I find like honestly, a lot of people social media is kind of a distraction for them, but I find it like it kind of inspires me because I see other people's art and I'm
Yeah,
like that's
I
so cool.
totally
Like I want
think
to do that.
totally depends on how you use it. I mean, you're
Yeah.
using it to, further yourself, your interests, so on and so forth. A lot of people use
Yeah.
it just to moan, groan, and complain, you know?
So true. Um, but yeah, so I honestly think it's a great idea if you're an artist to get on social media. And it's kind of unfortunate that sometimes you kind of have to join social media to get noticed by people that you're not in direct contact with.
Yeah.
Um, but that's just kind of the world we live in now.
I was
So,
just going to
um,
say it's the way the
yeah.
world operates right now, so I think it's important to be part of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Twitter
Cool.
is actually pretty good. I don't use it all the time, but it's great because this hashtag portfolio day, this is
Yeah.
from one of my friends from school, Nell, actually. She's great. And so, like, this is an example. You can do like a hashtag portfolio day and put all your work if you want people to see it. Sometimes, like, I don't want to say recruiters, but like, what's the word? If like a creative director who's looking to hire new artists will be
Yeah,
looking through the tags that day
absolutely.
and we'll see your work and maybe reach out to you if you put like your information, how to reach.
Are you
Um,
familiar with LinkedIn?
yes, I am. I actually do have
Okay.
LinkedIn too. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say that's a lot of people when they're looking for anyone, they'll go there.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of had fun making LinkedIn. I didn't link it to my website, but I did link my email and I
Nice.
have something called Linktree that a lot of people do too, where it's just like all of your links in one place. So
Oh,
if you want to look at like there's Instagram, there's a Redbubble shop, which I haven't updated in a long time. Procreate portfolio. Procreate's also great because I guess Adobe does this too, but they have their own little website that's people, if you just the work that you made on Procreate, you can share with other people and stuff like that. So this I haven't updated in a long time either, but I thought it was a cool thing that they offered if you use their program. So I'm probably gonna go and update that later.
you should definitely go and do that one.
Yeah, and Twitter, Giphy, like I was talking about, Instagram, website. Um,
Cool, cool.
I think this is something that Linktree does, and the whole thesis mass art exhibition, which might be down at this point because they're probably getting ready to put the new thesis up. But yeah, so that's a great website too for people who are looking to
Very cool. Very
share their
cool.
work with other people. I do have LinkedIn actually linked on here.
Yep, I see it
So
now.
that's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the name of your website?
ChloeReynoldsArt.com.
Com. ChloeReynoldsArt.com. Okay.
Yeah.
And can people get a hold of you through email or phone?
Yeah. So I made an email that's ChloeReynoldsArt@gmail.com.
Very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Easy to
I
remember.
think it's important for people to be able to get a hold of you. Like I said, this is amazing work, and I'm sure people have even more questions. So do you sell your work? Do you sell it?
I actually haven't sold a lot of my own work unless I'm doing something digitally and someone can get it emailed to them.
Okay.
Because I don't, when I was in school, I had access to a lot of great printers with great quality paper and everything, and I don't have that anymore. So that's kind of put some things on hold, but I can do like digital commissions pretty easily.
Okay.
And I
All
do
right. So
have,
you're willing to
yeah,
sell your work. Okay,
I'm
cool.
willing to.
Yeah.
I just don't have a lot of like originals to sell right now,
Mhm.
or anything really to send in the mail. But I do have, like I mentioned, the Redbubble shop, which
Yeah.
is, Redbubble prints it and sends it to you, but you can get like some of my designs on the work in there too, if you want to do something like that. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the
Okay.
place I'm at now.
All right. Then I have another question for you. Would you ever be willing to like teach it, or do you teach it?
Oh yeah, so I guess I've been helping out at Shoetown Art Center in Haverhill recently. So I'm not necessarily like illustrating the way I do on my website there, but I've been kind of helping out kids with whatever they want to be working on there. So there's some
Very cool.
ceramics. I actually really like making ceramics too, but that's not on my website or anything. Um,
Very cool.
but yeah, so I haven't necessarily always wanted to be a teacher, but that's not something I would exclude. So I've kind of enjoyed starting to help teach the kids at Shoetown too. So we'll see where that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just totally, totally. Do you have more that you would like to add?
Um,
Is there anything we
no.
we didn't talk about? Okay, because I'm just like thinking about all the things that you told me and so on and so forth. And like I said, I'm just totally impressed with you. You're an amazing young lady.
Oh, thank you. That's so
Oh,
nice.
you're so welcome.
Oh, you.
Awesome, awesome. All right, my darling. That being the case, I think we can say goodbye for now. But this is
Yeah.
very wonderful, wonderful, and maybe think about doing some demo type stuff too.
That would be really fun. Something
That
I
would be
would like to do
great.
someday is demo bookworking because I've
I,
learned like so many types of bookbinding. Like I've made so many books, and I feel like that's a harder thing to find
huh?
online. And you
Yes.
can look at tutorials online of people drawing and painting, but like making a book is a whole process. It really
Okay.
takes a lot of sit down one-on-one time. So that's something I'd actually really be interested in teaching one day.
Okay. Then let's talk about that at some point because I
Yeah.
think that would be amazing.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
me too.
All right, my darling. Thank you so much. This is
Thank
like
you.
been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. Yeah, actually, I've
Welcome.
been kind of like in a slump lately, so this is kind of like a thing to make me
Well,
want to draw again. So
good.
thank you.
Good girl. Good girl. All right. Bye for now. And thank you. Thank you. And again,
Thank
we
you
want
so
to
much.
say thank you to GHAA for
Thank
making this
you.
possible and all that good stuff. And we will see you soon, my dear.
Yeah, see you soon. Thank you so much.
You're
Have
very
a good rest of your
welcome.
day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.